guys, welcome back. Too many projects, not enough time. I'm Andrew in the shop. Oh, bugger. Again, working on Ivy. Did somebody say Clico? And we're going to pull it apart anyway. I'll fix it, start again. G'day guys, welcome back. Too many projects, not enough time. I'm Andrew, here we are in the shop again today. Back on Ivy again. Wrapped up the barbecue. That video is going to come out soon. The barbecue I made for the 101 for doing some exploring this summer. But tonight we are getting started on, guess what we're getting started on? The Fenders. So the plan is with the Fenders is to mishmash like the rest of the truck. So we've got the beautiful Series 2, Series 3 Fender tops, which Chris from Australia mailed over for us. Thank you very much again. We have Defender outers to have the shape and the cutout already for the eyebrows, because we're going to need to do eyebrows to help cover the width of the Range Rover axles underneath the Series 1. So that's how we get those shapes, as well as the longer fender on a Defender, which is the same as Series 2-3, because we went to the Series 2 hood, remembering way back in the early videos. We're using a Series 2 hood, which we modified the shape to match the same curvature of a Series 1. And then, so I've got new slash old tops, new slash old left fender outer, and I have a new shiny right hand one, even with the Land Rover sticker in it, not even aftermarket. And we also got, what I ordered was brand new, well not brand new, I'm pretty sure they're aftermarket, Series 1 fronts with no headlight, because Series 1 doesn't have a headlight, and one, which I believe you can get the dual light fitting in the base, so we have both lights in one. Now I've test fit these together, it's abundantly clear that these Series 1 fronts that I ordered, as advertised as Series 1 fronts, are clearly not Series 1, but yet Series 2. So they are about 6 inches taller slash longer than a Series 1 fender. We're going to run with that for now and see how it looks. Easily modified later down the track, but for now we're just going to leave it as it is. It will also match the full length of the eyebrow, or fender flare if you want to call it, but the eyebrow, to make stuff easier. Unless it looks goofy, and then I will shorten the front to make it look like a Series 1. We'll deal with that later if we have to. I probably will, but we'll deal with it later. And then we're also running Defender inners, which we have a pair of lovely galvanized Defender inners. And I've kind of mocked them together to see how they go together, because I wasn't really sure. So that all looks good now, but the other problem we have is not the height of the front, but the height of the back. So I've done some preliminary measurements, basically from this top to the very bottom of the fender. It's going to be 19 inches, so we have to remove and re-bend a new bottom to the fender. So we have to basically bring it up 68 mil, or about 2 3/4 inches up, to be the same height in the back as the Series 1. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to give that a kick of the can of that one. And so, I mean, I left school and did my auto body apprenticeship, so it's been a lot of years, but I'm doing it full time anyway. I'm certainly no expert anymore, but we're going to trim the bottom up, and I think we have to anneal the aluminum, but I'm going to, a little bit I have to cut off the bottom. I'm going to do a test bend on, just to see how it behaves. I'm not sure on these newer newer Defenders versus the series trucks, exactly what's going to happen with the aluminum. So we'll cut the bottom off we don't need. I have the marks here. I'm not sure if you can see them in the video there. I've laid out the bends and where we need to cut and what's waste. I'll cut the bottom bit off, and we'll do a couple of bends to see how the aluminum performs and bends. And if we need to anneal it, then we'll go through that step and I'll show you how to do that as well. I may even do that anyway, just to make sure that it's annealed to the so it bends and is a little softer and won't bend and crack. It'll bend and bend, because we're going to do a fairly tight bend and crease along this bottom edge, and that will allow me then to somewhat mount the fenders and get a better idea of where everything sits on the front of Ivy. So let's get to it. First we've got to disassemble it. I'm going to disassemble it, come back with the fender off it, and then start cutting it up. You don't need to see me undo bolts. That piece off the bottom, and I've actually just flattened it out, so I've given it a really good stress test. I've flattened it somewhat, mostly just flattened it back out, and so clearly this white fender has been through one of those ugly restorations where they skim the whole truck with a thin skim of Bondo or bog or body filler to make it nice and smooth. Because this whole bottom part of the fender, as well as the little bump at the front here, at the front, well you can't see it, it's over here, front corner of the fender, which is why it was switched out, had a little bump against something, a little dent. I'm going to say it's got a thin smear of bog all over it, body filler. Anyway, we're going to use it anyway. We're going to make it look pretty. So I've cleaned it up a bit, and we're going to put it in the vise. We're going to do a couple of bends to see if it cracks or if it bends nicely. If it's too brittle, we'll find out. Here we go. Give her a test before we do the final thing. It looks to have played along pretty nice. It bent over real good and easy. I think she's going to bend over just fine without splitting. I think the aluminum is certainly soft enough to proceed without any issues. Okay, so what I've done now to build an edge to bend the aluminium over the bottom is basically I'm using a 1-inch MDF block. I've made a slight relief in here, which will allows for it to sit over this extra thick extra bracket, or I guess welded into this edge to stiffen it up. And now we basically have to carefully clamp these on either side of the skin tightly to hold everything from moving, and then we just tap the bottom over and then do that final other bend once we've done that first bit. So bear with me while I do this. I like to use the flat edge of a block of wood. Gives you a wider surface area to start to make it move. Make sure nothing's moving. Slowly persuade it. And I think that body filler is gonna, yeah, it's cracked already. So we can remove some of this paint and whatnot. It doesn't want to be there anymore. This is either a really thick, high fill primer, or it's had a skim of body filler, but it kind of looks like, and smelled like body filler too. This black is the original. So there we go. Black is the original primer from factory. Once you got it moving and that line is starting to get nice and crisp, you can ease up on the larger surface area and just slowly tease it down. Still seeing it there? Alrighty, there we go. Yeah, so we're starting to get that nice crisp line happening. And we can just slowly tease it down, little bit by little bit. You don't want to make big bends all at once because then stuff stretches and twists. We just want to do it little bit by little bit. I'm trying to bend it up here, not down the bottom here, otherwise the panel will bend in a curve. We want to bend it through here up near the edge to keep it crisp. And if you bend it through here, then this end has nothing else to do but follow that bend and keep straight and fairly flat. At this stage I like to use rubber or a wooden mallet, because rubber or wood will not well, minimize any chance of stretching your metal. Whereas metal doing this, like a metal finishing hammer or any sort of metal hammer, as you start to beat hard on it, the metal squishing the aluminum will start every time you squish the aluminum, it stretches and stretches and stretches, which is where you get your bows and your warps from. Whereas the rubber mallet or the wooden mallet is a little more forgiving and less stretching happening through your metal. Just finish off with the metal just to crispen up that edge. Bottom's still got to go hair round more, and then this back edge about a 1/4 inch, this back lip down the bottom here, 1/4 inch, has got to come back up flat, and that gives this more rigidity. But I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I can see body filler through the fender, but I'm not looking for a concourse finish when I finish this job, this project. I just want it to look pretty damn nice. But it's certainly not going to be concourse. Alright, I kind of like that. What do you guys think? How's that look? Pretty crisp. Just one more little bend on the end up. Okay, and then once more, I got these two clamped. Now this outer one is the block that we're bending around, and this inner one is just to stop this warping. If we were just to clamp it here and here, then it would tend to warp and do some weird stuff in the middle. So keep it clamped. We're just going to bend this a little bit over. Alright guys, how does that look? I think that looks pretty damn good. And so I guess we'll crack on now and get the other side done and take the next step. But thanks for coming along. Another short video, and we'll see you on the next one, where we take the fenders to assemble them a little further and start to figure out where the front of all this goes. Thanks guys, appreciate it, see you next time.